Welcome everyone to the Saber Side Adventure number 5. I'm DM Vince back for the new year 2012. Sitting alongside me is DM Crispinator.
What's up? It's good to be back.
Yeah, it was a special show we got this week, and sitting in as a special guest appearance, a voice you may know of or heard in the past. He's played in many of the Book of Sorrows games. Leaf, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? I'm pretty good.
Just for those who are not familiar, he played Ragnar, Tress's little brother.
Arr,
He was a bigger brother, I don't know.
Little brother who was actually bigger than him.
Yeah. So we got the two brothers here on the podcast today.
We're not going to have to do this whole podcast in the Ragnar voice, are we?
Actually, no. I was thinking Crispy could do Trask and you could do Ragnar. No, I'm kidding.
With additional water.
No, anyway, so basically we were going to talk about, for the first show of the year, we're going to talk about the big elephant in the room, which is called 5th edition of Wizards of the Coast, had announced. We want to see
what Monday was it?
Yeah.
Earlier this week.
Earlier last week, because by the time this comes out, so.
Mm-hmm.
So we just wanted to give you our thoughts on what we thought about it, and Crispy's thoughts, since he's a new schooler type game person, and Leaf, who's pretty much in the middle at this point, I think, right?
I play what I enjoy.
Exactly.
I don't care if it's old school or new school. Yep.
So, Crispy, let's start off with you.
I'm excited, son. I think it'll be good. Like, I know that this is really just it's really just a thing to get more money, since, Pathfinder is outselling D&D. And, Wizards realizes that, and they realized that they pissed a lot of people off when they released 4th edition. With just like, all your old versions are broken, don't play them, they're bad. And then, silently they're like, this version's kind of broken. Let's go ahead and make these tomes of errata.
Yeah, essentials and everything else like that,
Yeah, I'm excited, especially because they're doing an open playtest. I think it'll be good to get everyone's thoughts. And I think now is the time, especially for old school people who, like, people care about D&D. I'd read a blog post about that. Like, people really care about the name D&D. There's just something about the brand. And, like Mike always says, like, Labyrinth Lord and Swords and Wizardry, they're not really D&D. They're close. D&D is always kind of, it's D&D. That sentence makes a lot of sense in my head. It'll be nice to get old schoolers' opinions, and now is the chance to, if you want to start buying games again, or you want to see a game that's a little bit closer, to what you want, to participate in the playtest. It's free to do, and if it's anything like the Paizo playtest, basically what they're going to do is they're going to release a version of the game, and have people be like, play it and tell them what they think. And even if you have like this wild, crazy idea that you don't think anyone would ever pay attention to, write it down and post it on the forums, because someone's going to see it and people are going to comment. And, it might get recognition.
Yeah, but how much is Wizards of the Coast going to listen to the old school, like, 1E play people or 2E people?
I had actually read something about that just this morning. I think they're going to put a lot more investment into what old schoolers have to say, because people are still buying D&D. Like, it's not like Wizards went bankrupt.
No.
With 4th edition.
No, they didn't.
They are losing money because there are a lot of old schoolers who see Pathfinder, and they're like, it's like 3.5, but it's better. Like, it just is objectively better.
And it's not called D&D, so
and it's not called D&D, but people are buying it. People are buying it a lot. So I think they're going to put a lot of faith in the market share that they basically alienated. Like, we're going to be the people they want to get because they want our money. And let's face it, gamers tend to have a lot of disposable income. It's like I had read something about the model train industry, where, like, D&D books are getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
Model trains did the same thing. Like, when model trains first started, it was like every kid could get into it. But as the hobby's interest dwindled, the stuff got more and more expensive. And it became something that only people who are, like, initiated into model training, who have done it for a while, and have the disposable income to keep doing it, are buying model train sets for, hundreds of dollars. Like, books are $50 now, as opposed to $20. was it 15 or 20 when they first came out?
Yeah, I think some of them were $15, $20, $29.99, things around there.
Yeah, like now, if you want to buy like the Essentials books, which is like, I don't want to say the watered down versions, but it's the soft cover books. They're $20.
Yeah, they're cheapy.
Yeah. But I think the old school demographic is what they're gonna go for.
Yeah, but why now? Why now?
Actually, I have a phone call from my dad. Oh, never mind.
Oh.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Well, Leaf, what do you think about it?
I don't know. I think we haven't really seen enough information that isn't just spin come out of Wizards of the Coast yet to really know what they're doing. Of course, they're saying, this is going to be the greatest edition of D&D ever, and it's going to cut through all of these different demographics of types of players, and everybody's going to be playing it again, and all this stuff. But they would be saying that no matter what they were doing with the new edition. I want to see like the hard numbers and the playtest rules and all of that stuff before I make any kind of semi-objective opinion on the subject. I do, however, question whether the business model of releasing a new edition every couple of years is sustainable. Because I mean, like, from my perspective, I have some disposable income. Not a ton of disposable income, but I'm not going to spend it on a bunch of games that I'm not going to play. You know what I mean? I have my couple of gaming groups. One plays First Edition, one plays BX, and we're comfortable with that. If one of the groups wanted to play Fifth Edition, we might grab a copy of it. But it seems to me like all of the groups that I'm in are happy with the systems that we're using, and probably don't see any reason to upgrade to the Fifth Edition, unless it's something really awesome. But it's all been done before, so yeah. I don't know what to expect, really.
It seems like the trend with Wizards of the Coast was every 4 years or so to make up a new edition, like you said, with the business model. Every company does it. I mean, White Wolf did it with the revamp. I mean, it took them more than 4 years. It took them, 10 years to do it, but it comes to a point you just run out of material. You got to just reset everything with new rules.
Yeah, I guess. Then on the other hand, I mean, look at Monopoly and Scrabble. These games have been being published basically unchanged for many, many, many years, all right? How come that business model works for them, but it doesn't work for D&D, I mean, I'm not saying that, new stuff shouldn't be written, but completely rebooting the game every couple of years, I don't know, I don't know.
Well, you can't reboot Monopoly.
Yeah, I guess.
That's why it's been around for how, all they keep doing is releasing, like, new themes.
Mm.
Then people go out and buy the themes. I guess maybe, be campaign settings to look at it that way.
Well, if WOTC really is going to listen to the gaming community, like all of the gaming community, instead of just, the demographic that they'll get the most money from, then, I think we might end up with something nice. But I don't know. I hate to say it's going to be a money-driven venture no matter what, so that may affect the.
Well, yeah, of course.
They're
only doing this to make more money, but they're doing this specifically, I think, to get some of our money as well. That was really my whole point. They're going to make this game, and they're going to make it tailored to as many people as possible, so they can make as much money as possible, because D&D is just not selling like it used to.
If one of the groups that I play in wants to play it, and I can roll up a character in less than 15 minutes, and I can run the game without having, 17 stacks of books around me on my desk, then I might give it a shot. We'll see.
Yeah, which is one thing I like about 40. People knock the subscription content stuff, but they have that Adventure Tools kit, which has basically all 4,000 monsters that they've released in one place that you can search by level, by, role, by, type. And that is just, if you have a laptop at your table, you have every monster. Mm-hmm. Which a lot of people are like, oh, no laptops at the table. And I can understand that, but it's a nice tool.
Yeah. Well, I threw my hat in the playtest because I want to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, I'm really interested, and I want to make it more like what I would want to see, because every edition has problems for me. It
does?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little less. Like, I could go on and on for, like, what problems I have with what editions, but...
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
like,
start with Holmes. And what's your problem with Holmes?
Holmes is... I like Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
The language is a little fuzzy. Like, there's points where I'm like, I wonder what he's trying to say here. Which is good, but it's not good for everyone. Like, there are people who need to have everything spelled out for them.
My only problem with Holmes was that it wasn't spelled out to when you're building a character.
Mm-hmm.
There was no linear format to follow. So when I did Mazes and Perils, I tried to follow a format. Take this, do that. Take this, do that. That's the only thing I couldn't stand about Holmes. Other than that, it was a great book.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's like the prized treasure of my D&D collection. Like, I have a condition and it's still really playable. I don't know. I feel like there's stuff that Holmes put in that he forgot to put the rest of the stuff in. I'm trying to think of.
Well, there were a lot of things he mentioned.
Does that have percentile stuff for spells? What spells you can know?
No. There were some things he added in there that he talked about, but he never actually added into the book.
Mm-hmm.
So people either think that he referenced in first edition or he just kind of forgot.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes he's going on a thing and he forgot to put in what he's talking about. Moldvay, Cook, I really can't think of too many problems.
I didn't want you to go on the line. I was just starting with one, that's all.
Yeah. But every edition has little tiny problems. Nothing's perfect.
Alright. Gotcha.
Third edition, I could write pages of what I hate about it.
Third edition, okay, my thoughts on third edition is that I don't think it's that bad. If you get
It's
power
not.
if you have power gamers and min-maxers in your group, the game becomes broken.
Mm-hmm.
If you
have the right group playing, it's really it's great. I had posted something in response to something Stuart Marshall retweeted about optimization should be left out of 5th edition. Optimization is something that players don't do. It's something you hire an outside blogger to make fun of. And, I disagree with that to a point. It's if you've got... I'm going to reference 3.5 here. If you've got your fighter who has, overwhelming charge and leap attack, and then there's, I think it's Battle Crasher. It's basically, you run and jump and, smack people into the floor, and then you do, this ridiculous amount of damage, and it doesn't make any sense. Or, the Jumpomancer... who is, oh god, the Jumpomancer is brilliant, but I'm pretty sure it's a joke. It's basically you take, perform acrobatics or something or dance, something like that, and then you pump your jump skill, and you take, 1 feet, and you can, get a 937 on your jump check, and you basically make everyone a fanatic follower. It's this ridiculous thing.
Yeah, things like that make the game broken.
Yeah, that stuff is ridiculous, and yes, you can do that. No, you shouldn't do that. But
I think... Sorry.
The problem I have with 3.5 is that monsters use the same rules as players, and I hate that.
The problem that I have with the later editions is there are just too many rules. I mean, okay, so I want my character to be a blacksmith. Why can't I just say, yeah, this guy's a blacksmith, instead of, I'm a profession blacksmith, I think I'll put 3 points in there, and then, 2 hours later you've got...
Skill focus, and having a masterwork, smith's hammer...
I don't know. It takes focus off of the narrative, if you want to call it the narrative, and puts it onto the mechanics, and that is what I don't like.
No, yeah, I agree.
I just don't like how much focus there is on numbers in new editions. It's good and bad. Oh, the point I was going to make, optimization being good and bad, to a certain point, putting an 18 in your fighter's strength if you rolled an 18. Just putting your highest score on strength. That's still optimization. You're making an effective character. Mm-hmm. Putting a 18 in your strength and then putting 2 8s in whiz and int so you can have more points to put in the strength, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a point where you're optimizing, and there's a point
what you're trying
where
to say is a certain amount of optimization is okay, but when it becomes a major focus of the game, I agree with.
No one wants to play a fighter with 4 strength.
That might be an interesting game. I don't know how long it would last, but
exactly. Like you'll get to play that fighter with 4 strength for
Like, you did a good job, Chrispy. When you played Trask, you made him like the shortest possible, with this personality, with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, if you want to do that with later editions, you have to take this skill, that skill.
You don't necessarily have to take it. Like, the skills can help you focus your character, but they're not. I don't think they're essential for making your character. And I think a lot of people think that they are.
So according to my reading on some of the hype that's been coming out about 5th edition, they say that they're going to make it extremely modular, right?
Mm-hmm. Toolboxy.
Toolboxy. I'm kind of curious to see how this works.
That's our next topic. Will the system be based like a toolbox like Fudge or the D6 system? What do you think?
I do think it's going to be a lot more modular. I think that's part of like getting everyone's money, which is a really cynical way to look at it. But let's be honest. That's what a new edition is.
How are they going to handle that? How are you going to put a book out with every rule edition in it?
I'll bet you.
I don't think it's going to. Oh, go ahead, Leaf.
I'll bet you that we're going to see a core rules book that has a really simple combat system, a really simple all of these skill system or whatever, all right? And then we're going to see all these splat books, like it's the combat and tactics books all over again. And it'll, like expand upon the combat system, expand upon the skill system, and expand upon all this different stuff until you once again have 17 piles of books laying around you on your desk, when you're trying to play the game, because, everybody wants this one rule out of this other book and this other rule out of this other book and all this crap, right? And then, 4 or 5 years from now, we'll be rebooting the game again. I'll bet you $1 that's what happens.
It'll be 5.5 edition, that's all.
Yeah, I really hope it's not like that. I hope they're going to do something a lot more like 2nd edition's core book, or it's like, it has, like, 2nd edition's core system is very... It's very not that, like, rules intensive. Like, it's got rules, but they're not, like, super rules intensive.
Fairly
2nd edition a little more rules intensive than, 1st edition and basic was all those optional rules. Like, here's critical hits, here's one-hit kills, here's punching and wrestling, and blah, blah, blah.
I don't know about you guys.
Those blue sidebars.
We never used any of the optional rules in 2nd edition. It was just like, it was 1st edition with different character classes, pretty much.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah, and they added a lot of optional rules, and it's like scattered throughout like the DM book and the player's handbook for the first versions of the 2nd edition stuff. I can't say too much about the 2nd edition of the 2nd edition.
I never actually had a copy of the second edition myself.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the black with
the black covered books with the red lettering. I'm hoping it's more like that. I'm hoping what it is like they have like the system, and then they have like sidebars that are just optional rules, or they do something like Fudge, where like here's the mechanics, and then the rest of the book is just devoted to like level of fantasy, and like you can do this, that, or this kind of thing. I mean, I really don't want to see it toolboxy. I don't think D&D is. I don't think it'll be good as a toolbox game.
Well, Mike Stewart and I were talking about how they can possibly do this. Then go the White Wolf route, for like what they did with Old World of Darkness. Each edition, like Vampire had its own rules, Werewolf had its own rules, so Greyhawk would have its own rules. Like Greyhawk would be basic D&D, and then you would have Forgotten Realms 1st edition type rules, and
that's really interesting.
And then Dark Sun do 2nd edition rules. I'm just throwing names out here right now. It's not going to be like this, but and then they have one book towards the end that just kind of pulled them all together in case you wanted to mix the rules together.
Yeah, or like New World of Darkness has like you have like the core rules, and then you have like if you want to play Mage, grab the Mage book. I don't think they could do it quite as like you couldn't have like Fighter, the Lightning, Magic User, the Fireballing. You couldn't have that. I think it would be better if all the player characters ran off, if you're going to have a Greyhawk book, it'll be like, you're playing Greyhawk, the Mordenkainen'ing.
The Grey
But
Hawking.
like, it's got your fighter, thief, magic user, cleric, dwarf, elf, and halfling. I almost said hobbit, but I don't want to get sued. So I think that would be really cool. Like if they did that, and it's just like it's all 5th edition. Like it all kind of shares like some kind of similar rule structure, but they're flavored more.
But then what about
towards what era of gaming you want?
Okay, great. So say they do all that crap, they throw all these books out. Now, what do they use for the RPGA? Do they have 5 different sections for the RPGA?
Good question.
Because, everyone's going to be like, well, mine's superior to yours, and, that whole big RPGA fight thing is going to come out again.
Would it be that hard, though? Because, like, they have Living Forgotten Realms, and they have D&D Lair Assault, and they already have, like, 4 different RPGA stuff now. Like, sure, it's all the RPGA. But they have, like, sects. Like, you have your Lair Assault, you have your Encounters, which is, like, your 2-hour games on Wednesdays. And then you have, your RPGA-sanctioned, like, regular D&D games. And you have Living Forgotten Realms. Like, those are all things within the RPGA, so they're already there.
They're all based off the same rules, though.
Yeah, like, it's all 4th edition, but they're little tiny things. I don't know if it would be, like, that hard to do. Like, I don't think it would. You would just run it like an RPGA, but you would have people in charge of, like, the Greyhawk stuff or the Birthright stuff. That's what I want to see with 5th edition. I want to see Birthright come back.
I never played that. I kept meaning to, but never did.
You're superpowered knights. It's awesome. You're Highlander. It's Highlander the game.
I just go play Exalted by White Wolf.
I don't want to play Exalted. I have a friend who has been trying to get me to play Exalted, and he's like, yeah, man, you get all these cool powers, but the Dragonkin, you better not use them, because they'll beat you up. And I'm just like, that doesn't sound fun. You can reroute how river flows, and I'm just like, oh, that's awesome, but don't do it in front of anybody. Oh, no. It's not as awesome.
No, it's not like that.
That's how it's been explained to me, and I'm sure it's probably not like that. It's like anime superpower. It's anime.
You're basically... I'm not going to get into it. Never mind. It's fun, actually, Exalted. It's just basically White Wolf's version of D&D that failed, but...
Well, this particular friend is also very heavy on the powers police. Like, he's like, oh, you guys can do all this cool stuff, but my NPCs are better. Don't forget. So, I'm just like, don't even want to play in this game anymore.
I'll run you an Exalted game, a good one for you, Crispy. Don't worry. All right.
Like, you did Darker Days and stuff like that, so I would trust you on White Wolf.
Yeah.
Like, you're my White Wolf guy.
Old school White Wolf is my thing. The newer is not really much, but...
I hear New Mage is really good. I've got a friend who wants us to play Mage.
It's got to be better than Old Mage. We could never figure out how to actually play Old Mage. But I don't know.
If you could take the Mage book from Mage, I think it's The Awakening now, or The Ascension, I don't know what it is.
I think it's The Ascension.
If you could take that book and read it and tell me what it says, I'll give you $500. Because that book is it's like reading an encyclopedia.
The New Mage or the Old Mage?
The new one.
All right.
The old one's easy.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
It's like 500 pages of like complete. It's like I think L. Ron Hubbard put his hand in writing the book or something.
So, what do you guys think the artwork in 5th edition will be like? The artwork is one of my major quibbles with the newer editions. I don't
really?
like it.
You don't like the newer?
I don't.
I love the new artwork. I think it's amazing.
I much prefer the more realistic style of like line art that's found in like the Rules Cyclopedia, for example. It's got some of my favorite art that ever came out of any D&D stuff ever.
Old school art is definitely I like it better, but the new school art, depending on what you're looking at, because there's a lot of really bad 3.5 art. 4th edition has not been that bad. Like, I think the art has been really good. A lot of it is Wayne Reynolds who does have these super ridiculous like character concepts for his art, but they're really cool looking. They're so anime.
I don't know. The 4th edition is too fancy, like color coordinated for me. When I first saw it, I'm like, why is there so many colors in the book? I was like, ugh.
Color? Ugh. What is this?
What is this color crap? I thought there was only black and white.
I can print in color? What? I'm pretty sure that the art is going to be good. I talked to Stuart Robertson again over Twitter. We had like this hour-long tweet fest between us where he had mentioned what he would like to see is more of the Magic the Gathering influenced on it.
Oh,
like
really?
the setting and stuff like that. And I'm just like, no. It has too much Magic the Gathering in it already. Like, I want more giant spiders and, like, rock beasts and less magic robots and amorphous blob monsters. I want to see a return to medieval fantasy with the art. Like, I want it to be... To me, 2nd edition got, like, the tone of D&D's art right.
Oh, with that blue ink art?
No, not the blue ink art. Just, like, knights and dwarf knights. And
that Elmore painting out of the front of the 2nd edition Player's Handbook is one of my favorites ever. Mm-hmm. It captures the low-level adventuring party, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're like we're badass, look at us.
Yeah, the low-level stuff in, like, 4th edition and 3rd edition is too high-level looking, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. I want to see people in helmets again. Nobody wears helmets anymore.
I want to see some, like, dirt farmer, like picking up a pitchfork and going out and killing orcs, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that kind of
that stuff's in there, but it's always to prove a point like, oh, you can be a farmer and be an adventurer. Here's what you were before you were this tank in full plate with a spiked chain. Spiked chain. Less spiked chains is what I would like to see in art as well.
Yeah, I think the art should be attuned to the section you're reading. So if you're reading something that's old school, they should throw line art in there. Mm-hmm. If you're reading something more like the new Fangle 5e, 4e.7, whatever, pi to the 3rd power, you should have like the new artwork.
Yeah. I would definitely like to see it return to medieval fantasy and not like this weird Magic the Gathering fantasy.
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's what D&D's artwork is to me now. It's all Magic the Gathering cards that, like, they couldn't think of how much mana you draw. And that's the extent of what I know about Magic.
Maybe have some Pokemon art in there?
Hell yeah. Like, I want to see a Charizard dragon.
Charizard dragon.
Tiamat, use flamethrower.
Go! Whatever happened to that you were going to do all the Pokemon monsters?
That is, I'm trying to actually, like, I asked a bunch of Pokemon fan friends that I have to maybe do some art. Like, I had proposed it to them, and people were like, oh, that's a cool idea. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that hard, but I would stick to the first 150.
Well, I did an example one on my blog a while back.
Yeah, I want to do stuff like that, and I just think it would be a hilarious book to do. But I would like to see art with it.
Yeah, you need art with it.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have money to pay an artist.
Yeah, I know. But there's tons of artists out there that do things for free.
That's true. Or if they get like $5 sketches. I don't know, my roommate's doing an RPG book. He's doing art and layout for it. Maybe I'll commission him.
I've bought stock art off of Drive-Thru RPG before.
No, I need specific, like, I need to have, if it's Pokemon, I need to have specific art. Like, I need to have specific interpretations of these Pokemon.
And they have to be altered so it's not ripped off of...
Yeah, like, they need to be like, here's Pikachu, it's an electric rat. But, like, my version will have, like, turbines coming out of his shoulders and, like, Tesla coil cheeks.
Jeez. Okay, so last topic tonight. According to Chrispy's notes, what would you like to see imported from past... No, I'm just kidding. Imported from past editions.
Yeah, that's imported, all right?
Oh, I'm sorry. What is imported? No, I'm kidding. All right, so Chrispy, what do you want to see from former editions coming to the new one?
I want to see a return to EXP tracks. I want to have my thief be like level 3, while my fighter is still level 2.
Okay, so like what was back in the original editions.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I want people to progress at different levels because
Not the
I
shared
think that's more interesting. You know?
Yeah, the shared experience didn't kind of.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, like everyone levels at the same time. Which is easy, but
I did like Paizo's experience thing, how it went from like medium fast to slow. That was kind of cool.
I use those when I'm playing Pathfinder. Like I'll switch to the slow track. I
would see this. I never actually had a chance to use it, but when I was reading a book, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be kind of cool," because you could say like all the fighters are on like the fast track, or
yeah, you could do that,
and then all like the thieves are on the slow track. It's just something to make it different.
The fast track is really fast, though. Like we level really fast when we're on that one.
Just to make it different.
It's ridiculous how fast you level on the fast track.
I want to see a return to a combat system that isn't designed around the assumption that I'll be buying a bunch of overpriced miniatures that I don't want. Yes,
I would like to see that, but I really enjoy tactical combat. Like I like 4th edition's tactical combat.
We will have to agree to disagree then. Yeah. I really dislike tactical combat. I would prefer a more narrative style of combat myself.
And it depends on what I'm running. Like 4th edition, I really like tactical combat. In basic D&D, I can throw it out the window. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I can have it or not have it. It doesn't really matter.
It's funny to see the posts on osrgaming.org of people saying, well, I'm going to play basic for the first time since I'm playing 3.5. What battle mat should I use? It's just like, you don't need a battle mat.
You don't need a battle mat. And you didn't necessarily need one for 3.5, but it helped.
But all these people are like, well, I'm so used to using a battle mat. And so I know a few people were okay. They used it, and after 1 or 2 sessions, they kind of just threw it out the door because they don't need it anymore.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's necessary. I like to have it if I'm, like, running a dungeon. But, like, if they're out in the wilderness, like, screw battle mats, that kind of thing. Like, I'll roll my 3d6 or 4d6 to find out how far away the other people are.
Yeah, and get rid of feats. I don't want feats in my new edition.
I like non-weapon proficiencies. I would like to see that, but I do really like the 4th edition skill set. Like, I think it's perfect. It's got, like...
No skills.
You've got, like, it's so simplified that you can do a lot with it, and it's, like... It's really set to improvising with it. It's got your hard DC, your easy DC, and your moderate DC, and you kind of judge, like, oh, well, like, it would be... This is like a hard thing to do, but anyone who's invested like training into that skill or is naturally good at it will have an easier time. So I think it works out really well. It could use a little more refining, but that's the skill system I like the most out of everything.
No skills. I throw the skills out the window. I just like my D6.
To expand upon Vince's get rid of the feats comment, I think that we at least need to have the option of just simplifying the game in general.
Yeah.
Getting rid of all of these little rules everywhere and all these edge cases and all of that crap. You know what I'm saying? I just want to sit down with a couple of dice and run some kind of story that people dig, and then go drink a beer when I'm done. You know what I'm saying?
I would like to see non-weapon efficiencies. Like, I think feats... I agree with Vince. Like, I don't really necessarily like feats because it is like, can I do this? Well, do you have the feat for it? Oh, I don't have the feat for it, so you can't.
I think first edition's quote unquote skill system is just fine for my purposes. Like, so my character is a botanist, or an alchemist or whatever. It's no rules. You just play it.
Yeah, I would like to see. Like, that's why I think non-weapon proficiencies would be good. You get like a number of non-weapon proficiencies, and you pick, and like, oh, this is the stuff my character is good at.
I just like the secondary skills of first edition, that's it.
Yeah, like, I can understand that. Like, I really like the skill system from 40. Like, I think that's great, because everyone has at least a chance of doing everything. Yeah, but... And depending on how, like, trained you are in it, you're better at it. You're just...
how many RPG whatever games I've sat and listened to where people were like, Okay, you walk into a room. There's a desk and a chair. I search. I got 27. What'd I find?
Yeah, I don't like that kind of play, and luckily my group, we don't do that. I've kind of instilled, like, oh, I'm going to search this like this, and then roll to see if I can find it.
That's cool. I understand that, but just these people, just like, I kick the door down and I search.
There's a lot less
35.
role playing and a lot less role playing or rule playing.
And that's what I couldn't stand about the skill system by putting points into them.
And I can totally understand that, because that's what I can't stand about the skill system either.
These people that just like jam points in the search spot. Mm-hmm. And whatever.
Like there's a thing you can do in the Star Wars D20 game that really made me mad about skills, where if everyone focuses on a certain skill, you don't have to go adventuring because you can just make all the money at first level. Like somebody like takes like appraise, somebody takes craft, and someone takes like bluff or something. Basically, you have someone make these things, and then someone gives them a value, and then the other person sells them off, and like you just basically ruin the economy. Like that kind of stuff. What I like about 4th edition is they took out craft. Like there's no crafting, there's no profession. Actually, I think profession might be a thing.
Yeah, there's profession.
Yeah, there's no craft though. Craft is out. And like I think that's great. Like the focus was shifted more on adventure or dungeon diving at least. Because, you know, you have like in 3rd edition I had people who were like, "Oh, I'm going to you know, pump my craft scroll or whatever it is, and I'm going to be a shopkeeper." And, you know, that's interesting story-wise, but that's not why I play D&D. I play D&D to kill monsters.
And then because my stat is so high, I have synergy bonus, which gives me an extra +5.
I'm so glad Pathfinder took synergy bonuses out.
I never understood the synergy bonus, and I'm glad I didn't, but when I found out more about it, I'm like, this is a ripoff from gaming.
It's like if you're good at, like, jumping, you're therefore better at, like, climbing ladders or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the synergy list memorized, but it's like if you're good at knowledge religion, you're also good at like knowledge of the planes and stuff like that. It's like it makes sense to an extent, but it's dumb. It's an extra step I don't think you need, and that's really kind of modern D&D in a nutshell for me. It's an extra step that it makes sense, but I don't think you necessarily need it.
What you are touching on here is exactly the reason that I don't like a bunch of rules, okay?
Yeah.
For example, let's take my Sacred Cow BX D&D, all right? You've got a dwarf in BX D&D, and the dwarf is in a dungeon running around killing monsters, okay? There's one rule about the dwarf detecting sloping passages in the rule book, okay? But, you know, he's a dwarf. He knows how stonework works, all right? If there's like a secret door somewhere, the dwarf is going to have a better chance to find it. And you just pull you pull these rules out of your rectum, you play the game, and you don't have to go like having all of this like, what would you call it? Crazy.
You don't have to have a +4 bonus to craft stonework.
Yeah, and
engineering and stuff like that.
You don't run into the broken parts of the rules because there are no rules there that can be broken. You know what I'm saying? To be broken, I should say.
Basically, what had happened was they wanted to codify things more. Like, you know, you can detect sloping passages and secret doors and faulty stonework if you're a dwarf. And, you know, like, you could do that up until 2nd edition. And then 3rd edition came around, and they had the skill system. So now they had a way to codify, like, oh, you know, dwarves have a +4 saving throw for fortitude against poison. And they get a +2 racial bonus to craft stonework. And this and that and this and that. And it just made more rules to codify. Like, they wanted to help people out.
You know,
it blew up in their faces.
It's interesting. Okay, like, we find ourselves dissing on different aspects of different editions, like a lot of the time, but I've never heard anybody try to figure out why they started codifying the rules more like that in the later editions.
I think part of the reason is
why did they see a necessity to do that?
They wanted to take a lot more of the DM corner cases out, like. But basically, they wanted the rules to justify what the players were doing or trying to do. So the
Online
DM
games.
couldn't go, oh, well, this stonework is hidden really well.
That's
just
what
not,
DMing's all about.
I know, but it takes a lot of like, the player can do this. Oh, I guess now I can't. It's trying to take the DM being a dickhead out of it a little bit.
DMs are going to be dickheads
Exactly.
no matter what. I mean, if they tend to be dickheads, not in general,
Yeah.
of course.
And
Except in my case, because I'm always a dickhead. But
like, people hate skill challenges, but skill challenges is what people have been doing in 3rd edition the whole time. It's like, oh, there's a riddle here, and instead of, like, having your players go, oh, I want to make this check, I want to make that check, I want to make this check, and then not getting any experience out of it, they basically set skill challenges up so, like, okay, well, there's this many pieces to figuring out this puzzle, and, like, here are some certain ways they can do it, and depending on how many you have, how many rolls that you're going to require from them to beat the skill challenge, that's how much EXP they get. It basically codified people going, oh, I want to make a perception.
Skill challenge is a joke from 4th edition.
In basic D&D, going, oh, I want to search this room to see if there's any, like, loose flagstones that might be a secret passage.
The skill
Stuff
challenge
like
is-
that.
the
So
skill challenge
basically,
is
they
4th
took
edition
that
joke.
and made it a codified rule.
It was such a
but
joke,
people-
though.
Yeah, well, people are like, oh, you just make 8 skill rolls, and if you succeed on this many before failing 3, it's not like you don't just go, okay, I'm going to roll this skill 8 times. 1, okay, 19, 20, I got a 7 on that one. It's more in-depth than that, but, like, at first glance, skill challenges are like, make this many rolls. If you pass, you pass. If you fail...
I've listened to many actual play podcasts for 4E, and that's all it is.
They're
Skill
doing it
challenge
wrong.
time. You have to make this many rolls before they make this many rolls, or before you fail this many rolls.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like...
There's no role playing. There's no story in it. It's just like, okay, what do you use? I'll try using this skill. Fail. Oh, maybe next time I'll try this skill. Where's the story in that?
I think
they're
that
they're doing it wrong. Like,
there's a line between mechanics and narrative, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And the line can move, but you cannot have, really, in my opinion, an extremely imaginative thing going on and also have a ton of mechanics. The reason that I say this is because maybe this is just my own personal psychosis or something like that. I don't know. But sometimes, I'll have some arbitrary rules system sitting out in front of me, and I will have an idea for a character to play in this game, like just a non-mechanical idea. Just I want to play this guy, who's like a baker that like throws bread loaves at people that have dynamite in them. Okay, just to pull some dumb example out of my ass. All right, if I create this character in a system that has very few mechanics, when I finish creating the character, I have a character, and I can still see this guy in my mind's eye. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like quote unquote real in my mind. All right. On the other hand, if I create this character in a system that has a ton of mechanics, when I get done, I feel like I have a piece of paper with a bunch of numbers on it, and I cannot see the guy anymore. Is this just me, or has this happened to you guys as well?
it's to an extent. Like, one reason I think, like, 3.5 in the D20 system is really good is because it's so much simulation, and you can really find rules that'll justify it, but then at the end of the day, it's just like, here's my character that is a group of feats and some modifiers. Like, I don't feel like he's really a character. And then, like, say if like I'm playing, I don't even know. Like, if you want to be a baker who throws bread at people in 3.5, you can do that. You could do that without even being like a character, like a player character class. You could be a commoner or an expert, which is like the NPC classes. If I wanted to do that in 4th edition, I couldn't. Like, 4th edition is very limited to, like, I want to be a fighter. I want to, like, I feel like there's not a lot of, like, I want to be a town guard who is now a wizard. Like, I was a fighter, or I was like a melee class, and now I'm a wizard, which is, it's an interesting character concept. I don't feel like you can do that as much in 4th edition. I feel like you could probably pull that off really easily in, like, Fudge. But I don't think you could do that in 2nd edition or 1st edition either.
You really like that Fudge, don't you?
I think Fudge is a good example. Or the D6 system, or any of those, like, rules-light games where you don't have a ton of rules. I don't necessarily think you could be that baker who throws bread at people in basic D&D in 1st edition.
Oh, yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, let's leave it as it is right here for this discussion of the 5th edition Elephant.
Did we come to any conclusions?
I think basically the conclusion we come to is we're all just waiting to see what the next announcement is.
I think
yeah,
so.
like I think the conclusion is like everyone is looking forward to the playtest to see what they come up with, but we all have reservations, right? I think that's about.
My reservation is the fact that Wizards of the Coast lost me buying anything from them. I'm going.
Yeah,
to the,
but
I'm
like
going
they're
to the,
trying to.
I'm going into play. Let me finish.
All right, my bad.
I'm going into the playtest to see what they're going to do to bring me back.
Okay,
that's all.
Now, I have to say
that
I didn't drag myself out of bed until right before you guys wanted to record this show. So I haven't checked up on my 5e info yet this morning. But it was looking to me like they were going to be running these playtests in like local gaming shops or something like that. Tell us more about the
spring,
playtests.
I think is what it is.
Oh, January. There's a convention coming up this month. They were going to premiere some rules for it.
Yeah, because they have an alpha version. They've done a playtest. Oh, one thing I wanted to say is I'm really glad that they're doing a playtest because with 4th edition, I ranted about this to a friend last night. There was no playtest. It was like, hey guys, here's our new game at Gen Con. It'll be out in 5 months.
I want to see the goods before it goes to print, like the Alpha or Beta Pathfinder playtest that they had. Yeah. I want to download a copy of the game and play it and tell them what I like and what I don't like before it goes to the masses.
That's what I think is going to be part of the saving grace. I really hope that they make a game that it might not be. It's not going to be perfect.
And it's not going to be old school D&D for those of us that want old school D&D, but I have high hopes that it will be an interesting game.
Yeah, and I think it could be closer to the game you want it to be. Just everyone who's listening, please for me participate in the playtest, so I don't have to tell you to go F yourself when you complain about 5e, and I ask you that if you participated in the playtest.
The worst you could do is just do nothing and then complain, and you know what? You have no right to complain because you had a chance.
Exactly.
You had a chance to go to the forum, write your name in there, get the information in your email, and download whatever they're going to download, and say, this blows.
Yeah, dndinsider.com. There's a page on there where you can sign up for the playtest. It's free. You just put your email in, and then they'll email you information when it's time. So,
if anything, you'll just get an email once in a while saying, download this and tell us what you think.
Mm-hmm. Literally no investment except your time.
Yeah. All right, so let's leave it at that and call this the whatever adventure of the Elephant of 5e.
It's side adventure number 5.
For 5th edition.
For 5th edition. Oh, man, look at that.
Ironic, yes. Anyway, this is Vince signing off for Chrispy and Leaf. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.